Good morning. Actually, it's good afternoon by now. We're here to do an update on Tropical Storm Fred recovery operations. Today we have Haywood County Sheriff Greg Christopher to speak with you and to address some of the rescue operations. We have Haywood County Emergency Services Director Travis Donaldson. I'll just turn it over to Greg. We'll have a brief opportunity for question and answer afterwards, and then we'll close out this press opportunity. Greg? Absolutely, yeah. Somebody's got their own.
We'll just project. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, you'll just have to give me your voice.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us again today. I sadly want to begin by giving you the individuals' names that we have confirmed that have died due to this event. We have confirmed and notified next of kin of these two gentlemen. They are Frank Mungo, 86 years old, of the Crusoe community, and Franklin McKenzie, 68 years old, of the Crusoe community. Our thoughts and our prayers are extended to this family, or both these families, and we will support both of these families in this tragic loss of what they have gone through, experiencing not only loss of life but loss of lots of other things as well. We have worked diligently to dwindle this list that we had for unaccounted, and it now stands at 7. Everybody else that is or has been on that list has been accounted for. Drone and canine teams are assisting our ground and swiftwater rescue teams again today, and there's a total of at least 225 rescuers in the area that have been assigned to work. Yesterday, Governor Roy Cooper and Senator Tom Tillis toured the affected areas and spoke with residents and rescuers, to include going up to the Crusoe Fire Department, offering encouragement and support. And I really appreciated that both those gentlemen came yesterday to actually see the devastation that this storm has caused. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Travis Donaldson. I'm the Emergency Services Director for Haywood County. Again, as I spoke of yesterday, the damage to our county, specifically in the Canton and the Crusoe areas, is very significant. Just in the Crusoe community alone, there are at least 10 to 15 bridges, not including private bridges in the area that are destroyed or damaged beyond use. We've got heavy equipment teams moving into the area today to begin clearing the largest piles of debris. These piles consist of homes, trailers, campers, remnants of folks' livelihood and lives, and they're the size of houses piled up on these riverbanks. That's a lot of debris to get through. The amount of time, the amount of work that it's going to take to get through those debris fields may extend for weeks to comb through them all. Residents in that area are actively working, as well as volunteers that have came to help them to clean their properties up, to try to get their lives back together. Folks are reaching out from not only across the region, the state, surrounding states, as well as the nation, willing to come help us, to help those citizens try to begin to pick up the pieces of their lives that have been turned upside down. residents of the area and folks trying to get in the area. That area is still restricted. That's in place to keep people that don't need to really be there out of the area. It also allows for our search crews, as well as the heavy equipment, the DOT folks, the dump trucks to come and go as quickly as they can in that area so we can get the infrastructure back in place to help support getting these people back on their feet. Currently, we still have a shelter established at Tuscola High School. That shelter is housing 7 people currently still. We do have a hotline here in Haywood County. It's a hotline for folks to call that need help, that need direction, and needing assistance as a result of the storm. That phone number is 828-356-2022. The hours of operation for that call center are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We ask that folks with non-emergency needs to call that phone number instead of calling 911. Please reserve 911 for those emergent, life-threatening situations. The types of assistance available through the helpline: missing person information, food and housing assistance, special needs assistance, volunteer or donation opportunities, and other storm-related needs. Let me cover donations a little bit. As a result of the storm and the devastation here, there are folks again reaching out from around the nation, the region, the state, willing to help, willing to send stuff to help get people back on their feet. We've got donation centers established. 2 of those here locally: Bethel Baptist Church, 42 Peters Cove Road in Waynesville. That address is actually incorrect. It's actually off of Pigeon Road. Helping Haywood, 289 Industrial Park Drive in Waynesville. We also have pods established, helping distribute items to those in need. Bethel Baptist Church, again, being one of those on Pigeon Road. They're accepting clothing, children's clothing, food, water, and toiletries. Canton First Baptist Church in Canton, 74 Academy Street in Canton, food, water, and toiletries there. And Faith Community Church there at 289 Industrial Drive in Waynesville, again the same. Those areas affected by storm damage will find meals available at Bethel Baptist Church on Pigeon Road. We have several volunteer disaster relief organizations there helping to facilitate these and to help these local communities support the needs of these devastated areas. As Sheriff Christopher spoke a minute ago, we have at least 225 outside, boots on the ground resources helping us to search and look through these areas of high suspicion in the Crusoe and Canton communities. On top of that, there are at least 75 support staff supporting those rescue operations, not to include any local resources that are already here working. I want to mention, while we have the time, to talk about debris and make sure that the community understands that process. If you have damage to your private property, document that, take pictures, call your insurance agency. As you begin cleanup, it's okay to go ahead and start cleaning up. But as we make these piles of debris that need to be removed eventually, we need to get those into piles on your property in areas that we can easily access later on without blocking any of the roadways. So they need to be near the road but not obstructing the road. So we want to communicate that, as there are a lot of folks coming into the area that are working with the churches and getting the folks with equipment that are volunteering their time to help these folks clean up pointed in the right direction and have a clear picture for what these residents need to be doing to pick up. So again, that's all I have. Appreciate your time.
Okay, this time we'll open the floor to questions. Does anybody have anything for Travis or Greg? Go right ahead.
A lot of those people were not in the area at the time of the flood, or they had been gone and their family had called us to let us know that there was no one at home. We've had one. We've had one. No, ma'am. Unless you can.
That was the first night.
Okay.
After that, there wasn't anything. Just one that first night.
Okay. She said that was the first night, and that's the only one that we've had. It's extremely personal. It's heartbreaking. I actually live in the Bethel community, and this is my 42nd year in law enforcement. I've grown up here and grown up with most of those people in some way. And whenever that I see people who have lost everything that they've ever worked for, as I drive through and get out and speak to them, and the sad part is the only thing right now that I can offer them is a hug, and to tell them that I love them and we're going to be there to support them as they start to work through this tragic situation. It just really has shaken my foundation. Oh, great question. We have brought in a responder support service so that our people who are boots on the ground have someone to talk to, someone to share this experience with, and they're actually doing that right now over at our sheriff's office for some of the guys and girls who have not had off but a very, very short period of time since Tuesday afternoon began. Unfortunately, most of us have not been home except just to take a shower, change clothes, and get right back at it for the most part. And I do want to say that our first responders here in the county, whether it's a fire department, rescue, EMS, law enforcement, we've been extremely blessed. And of course, this is our community, and we want to be there to take care of our community. And we're so appreciative of the people who've come in to help us. But that sense of this county belongs to us is, I think, what's really driving us and keeping us awake at this point.
Can you tell us anything about the focus areas for those 7 people who are still missing that you guys are focusing on looking for in the general area?
We're still focusing on the Crusoe area, from Crusoe back north to Bethel. That seems to be the way that the rescue teams consider to be the most important areas for us to continue to look in. And of course, with the debris fields that were spoken of earlier, and of course, most of you, I hope, went out there yesterday to be able to see what the river left us, and it left us with a tremendous amount of work, unfortunately, for years to come.
And do you know who those individuals are who you're still looking for, or do you just know the number of people? Can you expand on that a little bit?
We do know names, but unfortunately for some, that's all we have is just a first name and a last name, and we're using different kinds of technology in order to be able to try to find that individual. In my lifetime, from a natural disaster here, this kind of tops the cake, as I've heard said before. The only thing that we could compare to it would be the blizzard of '93, which devastated Western North Carolina. but this more especially has devastated us here in Haywood County, and it's going to be a long time before people resume normalcy because of this. Hey, John.
Do we have any estimates as to how many people in temporary housing moving forward and sort of trying to address that? And also, are there any issues with water? I think the governor yesterday had mentioned some issues.
I do not know how many people actually has been displaced, but I can tell you that there are mobile home parks that were completely destroyed, and so that is something that I know that the staff back here, or his staff back here, is really working hard on. Is part of that piece. You know, we're very fortunate to only have 7 people, I think, in a shelter for as many people as been displaced, but we also know that most of these people that's been displaced is living with family, and how long can you live with family? And you know, something we had mentioned was animals. There's a lot of animals involved. Our shelter has been not overwhelmed. Those guys and girls have done a great job, but they are taking care of a lot of people's animals that were involved in this as well. But hopefully we'll have a number about the people that have been displaced as far as the amount of temporary / permanent housing that we're going to have to focus on here in a very short period of time, probably.
Is it fair to say hundreds at this point?
100, yes, sir. At least hundreds.
As far as the water situation,
The water, I do not have any information today on the water in Canton. Do you?
They still are working on the water situation in Canton. They had quite a bit of infrastructure damage. They have been getting pieces of it back on. Some folks still may be having some pressure issues and intermittent outages, but they are piecing it back together. And it is online. It's just some folks still may be experiencing those outages.
is there any place where folks can get bottled water? I know that's a nonprofit I've heard of.
Yes, sir. Again, those pods that I mentioned at those churches are places to pick those items up. Anything like that they need is available there.
Sir, you seem to have gotten emotional as well during these press conferences. Walk me through what it's been like for you, that first call, the first experience, and you know, as a local.
I was born and raised here, lived here all my life. I work with everybody around me. Everybody's family. These fire departments, these firefighters, these folks that were responding that afternoon and that night watched their community get wiped away. They watched their own houses be affected. That's an extreme toll on those folks. There are a lot of those folks on the responder side that are hurting, and then the tremendous amount of folks that are hurting in the community. Again, I was born and raised here. I saw 2004, the floods that we experienced here, and these Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night, were definitely a whole lot more severe and caused a lot more damage in my eyes. That's in places in Crusoe. There's what I would call almost complete destruction. Areas of the community that don't exist anymore. The amount of 911 calls that our 911 dispatchers took that night was astronomical. They couldn't answer the phone quick enough to grab the next one. I was standing there in the middle of it, and they were drowning in phone calls while others were drowning in Crusoe.
Was it a campground where most of the lose a lot of people that campground?
There are a lot of campgrounds in Crusoe, a lot along the river. A lot of those were devastated.
We've reached kind of a difficult point in the search. You know, it's 3 days in. We know about the power of that flood. What are the expectations? I know it's probably a very difficult thing to talk to rescuers about, but what are the expectations?
Obviously, we're still hopeful. We're committed to these folks that are still on our list in finding those folks. Again, we're hopeful, and that's all we can hold on to right now.
Two people who did that, were they in homes, trailers, were they campground, do you know where they were?
I'm not completely sure on the answer for that one.
Travis, we know that there have been probably thousands of person hours spent by first responders in addressing this tragedy. Do we have any reports of injuries among our first responders, many of whom came from across the state?
Fortunately, so far, we've only had a few minor injuries, nothing significant. A few property damages to responder equipment, but only a couple minor injuries so far. We're fortunate there. It's Travis Donaldson, Donaldson. I'm the Emergency Services Director. They were found in the area of the river, or where the river had been and been out of its banks. So those are areas that we're focusing those searches on, looking for the rest of these folks. They were found in the Crusoe area.
Obviously, the response as far as help from other emergency personnel in the state and also people, hoping to make donations and things of that nature is coming in very quickly right now, several days after this disaster. But this is something you all are going to be cleaning up for, as the sheriff mentioned, possibly for years. So what do you all need from everyone else within the next week, the next month, and after that?
We have a large outpouring of support right now. We have a lot of help. What I would like to see is 2 weeks from now, a month from now, 2 months from now, is folks not to forget this. These folks are going to be hurting for a long time and are going to need support over a long time. So the amount of support and help right now is unbelievable. But my take home for everybody is for folks not to remember what's happened after a few weeks or a few months, and to help us continue to try to support these communities.
Do you have any idea how many residents this was affected? Do you have a count on that yet?
The crews that are out working right now, these rescue crews, these USAR crews, are tagging damages as far as data, so we can bring that back and compile it. I do know, talking just to the folks in Clyde yesterday, there were over 90 properties affected just in the town of Clyde alone, and we're still working on those numbers in the areas upriver from Clyde. You have Canton, the Center Pigeon community. Let's not forget about the Lake Logan area that did see damage and some flooding, however a little less severe, and then the devastation in Crusoe that will take several weeks to really get a good handle on how many properties and homes were damaged, because some of them aren't even there anymore, that we're going to figure out what was sitting there.
Do you have any idea about the chat line and what was going on in their facilities and everything?
I do not have any details on that.
All right, thank you very much. That'll conclude our press conference for today.